we're trying it like this. Hey guys, my name is Bethany and you're watching Writing Werewolf, and this is a 5-minute review of Jacqueline T. Johnson's Test of Time. I didn't know what to expect going into this. I read the synopsis, it was very interesting. The concept seemed really intriguing. It was about two guys who try to take down a kingdom from the inside and end up sort of one of them marries a princess and the other one becomes attached to this kingdom, so they sort of give up on that, I guess. And it's all about sort of relationships and how these relationships tie into each other. The thing that I really enjoyed about this book was that there was no sort of info dump of backstories. So normally when you read a fantasy book, to sort of get up to speed with the world building and all the character relationships and the kingdoms, how the kingdoms react to each other, you've got to suffer through several pages of world building and sort of info dumps, and that sort of turns me off most fantasy books. But I was really intrigued to see that I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see that this one didn't have that. So all the sort of relationships between the characters were sort of revealed gradually and sort of naturally throughout the progress of the book, which I did really I like that. I like when that happens. I don't want to be bombarded by everything immediately. That's too much for me. This book jumped straight into the action. There was no sort of build up of story, straight in there. And I thought that was a really well done sort of technique. A lot of writing advice is that you should start when writing a novel. You should start by showing the characters every day, and then go on to the inciting incident and the plot and all that behind that. But I feel like a lot of people take this advice literally and give 2 or 3 chapters of just regular everyday stuff, but you don't need that. That stuff's boring. You can cut that out. You should start where the action starts. The main focus of this book is on kingdom politics, and if you're into fantasy novels that cover the politics of running a kingdom and going to war with people and things like that, then you'll enjoy this. It was a bit dry in places because it was politics. But that's okay. I mean, some people are into that. I'm not personally one who enjoys reading purely about politics, but some people are into that. And if you're one of those people, I would recommend this book. There were a few. I did find this book a bit strange to read. The narrative style is very. It was really fast paced, which is good. But the narrative style was a bit. It was all sort of action and dialogue. I know the exposition came from dialogue, and I feel like it could have been maybe slowed down just a tad, because I didn't really have a good idea of setting for most of the time. Sort of the general setting would be described, but then the minutiae was missing. And some people like that, but I felt it could do with a touch more. Some people like that, but I feel like it could do with a touch more of the sort of everyday, descriptions of things like that. I was really fascinated by the eye, the whole concept of the eye. I thought that was amazing. I think I preferred Nash over Eric, to be honest. I felt like Eric was sort of described to be this amazing ruler and this amazing commander, and it didn't really have much to back that up. But Nash was very much, you could tell that he had been an assassin before this, and he had been, set to kill a kingdom, and he's got all these complicated relationships with other commanders and people who have hired him and things like that. And you could I like Nashton. So there was also a lot of head hopping, which was a bit disorienting at first, but then you sort of get used to it, and it was okay. Like I said, it was very, very, very fast paced. But the one thing I did really enjoy about this book was the ending. Without giving too much away, the ending. So this is Test of Time is the first in a series. And the ending of Test of Time sets it up perfectly for a second book. It ties up everything in the first book. There's no loose ends at all, and but there's still room for a sequel. There's still enough room for more character development to get to a sequel, and I really appreciated that, because so often you read a book and you'll read the whole thing, and there'll be loose ends and nobody will have tied them up, and they'll be like, oh, you'll have to read the sequel to find out. A first book in a series should work as a standalone. If somebody doesn't want to continue the series, they should be able to read that first book and go, well, that was interesting. I'm not like, I don't want to read more. I know the from an author's point of view, you want them to want to read the sequel because then you get more money and you get to write more books. But from a reader's perspective, if I don't enjoy the first book, I don't want to be like emotionally attached to it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get to the end of a first book and be like, well, that was okay, I like the characters, but maybe I didn't like the style of writing. I don't really want to wait for another book to come out in a year or whatever. I think it's something that's done really well in crime but not really well in fantasy, but Jacqueline T. Johnson here has absolutely managed to knock it out of the park. Like, that was a fantastic ending in terms of closing everything up. That was my 5-minute review of Test of Time. You can read my full review in writing on my blog at writingwerewolf.wordpress.com. It'll be linked below, and so will my Twitter and Instagram accounts, where you can follow me at writingwerewolf and at writingwerewolf.reads respectively. If you like this video, I have a whole playlist of 5-minute reviews. The last one I did was a couple of days ago, Direwolf by Kat Kinney. I will link that playlist in the cards just up above. And if you enjoyed it, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing. It always makes my day when I see new subscribers. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!